Borderlands.
Yes.
When did we get codes for Borderlands?
Yesterday.
That's not good.
No.
Okay. They dropped it while you were gone. I don't know if you caught the news. They've been talking about 4 players. Now it's down to 2 players now.
So it's interesting because we had that exclusive hands-on preview and the video preview, and the game, like I said, it's in better shape than when I played it at GDC, but not running quite as well. Like they said, they're in like the 27 to 32 frames per second kind of thing. They had to make some exceptions with enemy count. They had to make some exceptions with draw distance. They had to make some exceptions with even enemies explode and disappear now instead of like falling and ragdolling.
Which I don't care about.
Yeah, so I'm not sure what the problem is because the game to me didn't seem like abysmal, like where it was going to be like critically panned.
Yeah.
With that said, like if the game's going to be in the, and I'm not saying it's going to be, but if the game's going to be in the 6 range, then maybe they hold it. But to me, it seems like a pretty competent first-person shooter on Vita. It's not Killzone.
Yeah.
But it's certainly better than Resistance or Call of Duty.
I think it would just be, right, the fact that they don't want to... I mean, there's so many people, I'm sure, according to, just anecdotal evidence of people tweeting me photos of them buying the bundle or getting it in the mail or whatever. It seems like a lot of people were waiting for this bundle, and I guess if we would have had reviews before that are sub 8.5, then people are going to be like, I don't know if I need it or I want it. Or
Now, here's the greater mystery to me.
Here comes the greater mystery, Ryan.
Borderlands has, cachet, obviously. Borderlands 2 has sold many millions of copies, but with PlayStation gamers or people on the fence, it would have made more sense for them to include God of War, and because it comes out today, and let Borderlands 2 kind of just sit on the shelf and release it by itself when it was ready, if they felt like they needed more time. And obviously, you can't go back. They announced this when I was in Santa Monica in January or February. But like God of War would have been a smart game to release with the Vita for free.
You think it would have been?
Yeah.
Because here's my thing: is you said it yourself. I think that God of War has more cachet with the PlayStation audience. I think the hardcore PlayStation audience has already bought a Vita.
I don't know about that because there's only 8 or 9 million of them sold, and there's 75 million.
Well, then they all listen to this show though, because they tweet in about how much they love their Vita and what game should they buy on their Vita.
I just feel like it was. I understand why you include Borderlands 2. You get the hardcore gamer that cachet, but I don't think that's going to sell the system to normal people that need to buy the system. God of War is a.
I agree with Greg. I actually think Borderlands has a reach outside of the normal PlayStation crowd. Where it's, hey, I love Borderlands on my PS3. What I can, because 3DS, this game would of course never appear. So it's like, what I can get I've heard about this Vita thing, and whoa, I can play Borderlands on it.
Yeah,
now?
I mean,
awesome.
You figure, it's trying to get that person in. Like, this is like the proof, right, in Sony's mind, if everything worked great, of like, here's Borderlands. You can take your Borderlands save from your PS3 to this back and forth. Go live, go play. Your gaming experience never has to end.
Yeah, but I think that's part of the problem, and I think we've talked about this before, is that if Borderlands 2 doesn't shake out in such a way, then it's just another Call of Duty.
Right.
It doesn't matter that it's not as bad as Call of Duty. Like, Call of Duty was sold like 600,000 or 700,000 copies or something on Vita.
Sure.
On name alone.
Yeah, exactly. But no one actually liked it. And like you have to include, like, God of War will work, and it's a PS2 game, like, and it will play well, and it won't, like, they have to release games bundled with these systems that work. Like, I don't understand why Uncharted isn't like one of these games, or
Yeah. But I mean,
I don't know. It's a huge risk because like the last time they bundled a game prominently with a system was a shooter, and it sold systems, but it also backfires in the back end because everyone's like, this is what the Vita. If you're just a dude, it's like, what's the Vita? Or I bought the Vita. I'm like, this is Call of Duty on the Vita. Are you fucking kidding me?
Right.
But
I think, I understand what you're saying, right? Especially with Call of Duty as the example. But I think with the Borderlands example, by getting somebody who likes Borderlands or understands Borderlands or is interested in cross save or whatever, you get them in, they play the games. Whatever. It's not great, we'll guess. It's below an 8. Then they're going to be like, wow, that sucks, but I have this system now, and I also have PlayStation Plus I've been using forever, but it's your foot in the door. Like, right. That's what I feel like they need right now, is to get the system, because we always talk about it. Once you start using the Vita and playing the Vita, you're like, this thing's cool.
Killer apps, sadly, don't really exist on many platforms anymore.
Right.
I mean, or at least they haven't in a while. So... yeah, I mean, does Vita? Would you say Vita has a killer app that they should bundle? That's like, you play this game, you just have to have the system to play this game.
Well, I often say, I'm not sure if I would call it a killer app in the sense that it's like you must play it, but I still think Uncharted is the most console quality game on the system, and that's a launch game.
Sure.
That's because Bend is a good studio, but also because they had time to make the game, unlike Nihilistic with their games. I don't know. What I'm most interested in is to see how it sells, because the rumor last month was that Vita sold 10,000 units in North America, which is fucking terrible. Yeah. Terrible. That's like dead, Now, the Slim has already been out in Europe for a while, and I'm not sure how it's selling there. Vita's actually doing really well in Japan now, so it can live again. It's never going to be the PSP or anything close to it, but it needs Slim needs to work, and so they need to think very carefully about how they do this because they don't have another revision in them unless this works. And if you want Vita to die in two years and you keep including games that are not Uncharted quality with it, the proof has to be in the pudding.
Right.
Is there anything coming up at the holidays for Vita that they could bundle then?
No, I mean, the only retail games that are coming out other than what Sony might be doing after Borderlands, which we don't know, is like Soul Sacrifice Delta and Freedom Wars, which looks awesome, but Freedom Wars is a nerdy game, just like Soul Sacrifice.
No big first-party Vita games?
No.
Ugh, that's
talking
telling.
About. Yeah.
I mean,
you hope at E3, right? They're like, and here's Infamous. And you're like,
yeah, I hope.
But like the last 4 years, I've been saying that.
I've said to Greg before. I feel in my gut that like Infamous will be on Vita, but it won't be by Sucker Punch.
Right. Sure. Thanks a lot, Nate Fox.
But yeah, nothing big. I mean, but the Japanese studios are going to continue to support the system, and they keep supporting the system, which is a good sign that, Namco, for instance, bringing Tales over and doing their thing, and NIS, releasing another Danganronpa and all that, like they're making money on Vita. So it's just a matter of, how much money you want to make and how much money it costs you to bring these games over. And also their alliance with these Japanese studios selling Vita games is just more way for those Japanese studios to make more money. So it's complicated, but Vita gamers buy games. The attach rate on Vita is much higher than it is on the consoles. And that's good news, I guess, for people that are making Vita games.